Welcome back to Tottenham on Tour's world famous Advent calendar, day number 23. 23. A big day. A big day. And joining us and Mr. Daigle, we've got Mr. Daniel is back. He's had 3 bites of the cherry and now he wants another one. Who would have thought? Welcome back to Mr. Daniel, and we're joined by the emissary of the Philly. We have Phil P. Woo!
Woo! Morning all, evening all.
I'm gonna have to do it now because my mother-in-law and my wife are awake. So woo! I'll do it at 4 o'clock in the morning on Cockle-Doodle-Doo. So let me get my woo on.
Yeah, but Mr. Daniel, how are you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all good, my friend. I'm excited to get through these players. Number 23 has been a good number for us, apart from one certain individual, which we'll definitely not name on this show. But yeah, good to be back, and thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, brother.
Mr. Phil P. Woo! How are you doing, buddy?
Well, obviously, as we record this, we won't reveal any secrets of the magic of YouTube, but of course it is game day. So we'll be playing Everton very shortly. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully I'll see 1 or 2 of you there. Hopefully a couple of siders somewhere in the location. But yeah, look, doing well as we said earlier. Hopefully representing. You know, I'm probably the person that can bring the vibes. I know everyone's got Christmas vibes, but I brought up Roman Catholic. Opposite the Spurs ground was my primary school. So, you know, born and bred Tottenham, born and bred Catholic. Christmas is definitely a good time of year. So, yeah, let's bring it. Lots of football, obviously.
Is that the school we stand out and shout, leave you out?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
St. Francis de Sales.
It's a great place to be. But, Mr. Daigle, how are you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this, but no one will understand why I'm looking forward to this until later on in the show, let's just say.
We've got 5
a very great person and a very great idea that I fully endorse. And I'm looking forward to it. Let's just put it that way.
You're not bringing out an old centre half shirt that you've got from like 99.
No. All to be revealed.
But it is the Tottenham on Tour Christmas Advent calendar joke. We have to do them. Mr. Phil P, what is your joke?
Yeah, I can only apologise up front for this one, ladies and gentlemen, but what do you call a penguin in the Sahara Desert?
Don't know,
Lost.
Phil. What do you call
Lost?
What?
They're lost. Sorry, Ben. I was waiting and you went to save me and I jumped in too early, but they're lost. They're badly lost.
Very much so. Very much so. Ben, are we keeping up with the theme?
You know we're keeping up with the theme. Come on, Brian.
Let's do it.
I got to tell you, Brian, they are getting gradually worse and worse as the shows
Any
go
Arsenal
on.
joke is brilliant.
Yeah.
But what do you call an Arsenal fan that does well on an IQ test?
Go on.
Phil's still thinking. He's still thinking.
I'm thinking there must be a fake fan, mustn't they? They can't be a real gooner, can they?
A cheat.
A cheat. Yes.
They're always good. There is no bad Arsenal joke. There is none. I'm struggling to find one, but here we go. My one. Let's bring the standards right down. Why did the Grinch go to the off license?
Don't know, why did the Grinch go to the off license, Brian?
He was looking for some holiday spirit.
I like that one, actually. I do like that one.
No, I should have said Levy.
Yeah.
I should have said Levy.
Yeah.
Oh, you dick.
And
Say
then
it again, Brian. Say it again.
I'll make up for it. Don't worry. I'll make up for it.
my one is just hedgehogs. Why can't they just share the hedge?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Oh, dearie me. Dearie me. It's a thinker.
Can I just say, though, it's a grower. It's a grower.
I think the Arsenal IQ
Not that I've ever said that to my lady wife. Ben, I was going to say, maybe I could have remixed my joke to say, what do you call an Arsenal fan north of the river? Lost. But we'll work on that maybe next time.
I like it. I like it.
We've all
Next
got variations
Christmas.
of the jokes, but
My heart.
let's start with day 23. Obviously, as Ben said, this is definitely one player will not be mentioned. So don't worry, a certain person will not be mentioned.
Yeah.
But we are going to start with a player that there's so many players I wish we had longer. We're going to start with my favourite ever left back, apart from which will be Destiny. I love Christian Ziege. Christian Ziege, what a player, Mr. Kaufman.
What a free kick. That's all you need to say against the Gooners. I love Christian Ziege. It's a bit late for me. Very early in my Spurs supporting career. But he was just a solid left back. He was a solid player. Great free kick taker. There's not much I can really say because it's so back in the memory banks that it's just an overall good player. It's that's sort of that era when we're going from the 90s into the 2000s. We didn't really have much to shout about. But the most important thing is that kit. That is my favourite ever Tottenham kit, I think, or home kit. It's just the class. I'd love to have a Spurs kit like that again. I might even buy it myself if they sell a kit that looks like that. Mr. Daniel, what do you remember about Christian Ziege?
That rocket of a foot that he had, literally unbelievable. It really was. And look, everyone's going to remember him for that Arsenal free kick, and that I think it was a 1-1 draw. What a free kick that was! But not many people remember a week before that he scored a free kick against West Brom. And you're like, can this guy? And then he steps up in the Arsenal game with the memory of that West Brom free kick. And you're like, nah, surely he's not going to hit it from here. Surely he's not going to get it in the back of the net from here. And wow, that's one of the best free kicks I've ever seen, to be honest. That Christian Ziege free kick against Arsenal. The year we signed him, I remember quite a bit of excitement when we did sign him. And he scored about 5 goals in his first 9 or 10 games in a Spurs shirt. And you're just thinking, wow, what a player we have in our hands. And injuries always held him back. I remember he nearly died or something from an injury that he had for Spurs, or he nearly lost his leg. I mean, absolutely crazy stuff. And the unfortunate thing for Christian Ziege is he scored in some memorable defeats for Spurs. The 5-3 defeat to Man United, the 4-3 defeat to Man City, and obviously the cup final defeat against Blackburn as well. So I loved him. Great player. It's just a shame that injuries held him back massively.
Yeah. Mr. Phil P., what do you remember about Christian Ziege?
I mean, all the things Ben said, I wholeheartedly agree with. I think he got a dead leg for us, and he did almost have to have his leg amputated. And I think that ended his career. Yeah. So real shame. Listen, the biggest thing I could say about him, he was probably one of the first players. Well, actually, no, a fellow countryman of his was probably the peak of this, and maybe a couple of England internationals around the late 80s, I should say. But he was one of those players that when we were linked with him and then we signed him, I was like, I can't believe this, because I've been a fan of his for a while anyway. Anyone who loved football just saw the quality that he had when he played for Germany and the other clubs that he played for. And when we bought him, I just was like, this is taken us up a huge level. And yeah, look, obviously that's what came to pass. Phenomenal technician, beautiful free kick taker, just quality player. And, he played the game the way Spurs fans ideally like to see it played. Bit of swashbuckling and just really graceful on the pitch, and real proper Spurs man, I'd say. Really, really good. Just shame we didn't get more out of him. Maybe we didn't get him maybe a few years prior, but look, what we did see was amazing. And look, he'd always be welcome back at the lane. Someone's doorbell,
Listen, Ben will know this story because Christian Ziege was the last North London derby goal I saw at White Hart Lane. And I was getting so excited because Ben and Sim had got me a ticket for the North London derby when I was back in London. Then Arsenal ran away. And I was like, for God's sake, I'm missing a North London derby. Then I was back last summer, last year, as we all know, or this year, shall I say. And unfortunately, I did get a ticket for that game. And I wish I hadn't, because it's now taken away the memory, or will never take away the memory, but that's now not my last North London derby goal seen at Tottenham. Ben mentioned like that, I was at the game for the 5-3. I remember going to the toilet and we were 3-2 up and coming back and we were 4-3 down. That's how quickly things turned. The Manchester City game, people know I'm very, very open about mental health. I was actually in hospital in a mental health unit with that game, and my dad actually brought me out to spend the night with him and watch the game. So I'd left the mental health unit to go watch a game of football with my dad, which should have cheered me up. And we are 3-0 up at half time and we lose 4-3. Let's just say I went back to the hospital a little bit wired and a little bit annoyed. But yeah, listen, he was elegant and brawn at the same time. This guy could mix it, but this guy was class. He was a class act. And I wish he was brilliant at Liverpool. He was outstanding at Liverpool. And I just wish we had him longer. And talking about wishing we had longer, we've spoken once about special relationships, whether it be Real Madrid and how they get everything. And
we are Tottenham TV.
We spoke about special relationships with Manchester United and how they get Berbatov, and we got Fraser Campbell. Well, another person that came and went too soon, way too soon.
Yeah.
This man, Michael Carrick, Ben.
He was generational. Like, the word generation was used for a lot of footballers, and they don't deserve it. This guy deserved it. He was a genius. He was an utter genius. And maybe not so much in his Tottenham career, but when I was later in my footballing watching career, he was the best player I have ever seen at positioning. He would just stand in a position and he would just intercept the ball. He was a magnet. He was an absolute interception machine. People think Højbjerg is good at intercepting a ball because that's one of his better stats. Michael Carrick, wherever he stood, the ball would just come to him and he'd cut it out. He was absolutely brilliant. He was like he patrolled an area of the pitch and he was just made it so much easier for us. Playing with Edgar Davids as well, which we probably learned quite a lot from Edgar Davids early in his Spurs career, who the Pitbull. He was just a master at what he did. And he took that when he went to Man United and made one of the greatest teams you'd ever seen, like that Man United team. Phenomenal footballer. As one of the players, like if you could build a Tottenham team that was effective, that he'd be in it. So effective, doesn't get the plaudits he deserves. One of the most underrated footballers in English football. What would you say about Michael Carrick, Mr. Daniel?
I think obviously he's another one that we nicked from West Ham, like Jermaine Defoe, and I think he just straight away stuck into that Spurs team, and it was a really good team as well under Martin Jol. One of the teams I really fell in love with, especially the manager. Wasn't here for long. Obviously, he had his best years at Manchester United. I always thought, with that special relationship that you talk about with Man United, you know, long gone are the days of them nicking our best players and our best talents. They take Sergio Reguilon now on our scraps. So you see how times have changed. But in terms of Michael Carrick, he was so silky on the ball, controlled games from the middle of the park. But he just got better and better as his career wore on. And even in his like mid-30s or early 30s, you know, he was still performing at a top level for Manchester United. And I always remember that goal that he scored against Sunderland. I think it was his first goal. I think he only scored like 2 goals for the club. But that goal against Sunderland, you know, he beat some man, and from like that angle, he just puts it in the bottom far corner. And I mean, it's a shame that he just wasn't here for long enough, really.
Yeah. What do you remember about Michael Carrick, Mr. Phil P?
I'm gonna upset the apple cart here a little bit. I completely recognise that he went on to do phenomenal things. You don't get in that Man U side. I think he could get in this Man U side now. Do you know what I mean? Just in trainers as well, just sambas, no studs, just go and play. You know, in his plimsolls. But I just, you know, when sometimes we've got a player who you know is phenomenal, got good technique, can do it all, got a great footballing brain. I just always thought he could do more and do more and have more influence on the game. And maybe it was just where he was in his development. Maybe it was just where we were as a team at the time. But I just thought it never quite clicked. But, you know, great footballer. You know, obviously, it's funny what you say though, Ben, as in Kaufman. Everyone, you know, when everyone says you're underrated, Like I remember Gary Lineker used to go on about Carrick all the time, and all the boys on Match of the Day at the time would say it as well. And I was like, if everyone's saying you're underrated, are you underrated anymore? I don't know. But yeah, look,
that's very
maybe
good
he's
point.
just
only to listen. I may be completely wrong. I'm obviously probably outnumbered on the panel, but only 2 goals for a player as good as he was. You know, maybe just used to get a nosebleed when he got in the box. You know,
he was a sitting midfielder, though, wasn't he? He was a sitting midfielder, and we had so much attacking talent in that team. He kind of enabled the attackers to do what they needed to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the way to best describe him and the lack of goals is we hear this terminology used with like Kevin De Bruyne or whatever, and they say a quarterback. Well, Michael Carrick was that quarterback. He weren't there to finish things. He started things. Yeah. He plugged gaps. He did everything. And listen, we had him way too short. You could see the talent in him. He was destined for bigger things. We just couldn't compete back then. We just couldn't. And we had a chairman that would bend over for anyone. Sorry, I've got my Levy Tourette's I can feel coming on in this episode.
It was that season, Brian, though. That season we nearly finished 4th, the last year at Highbury.
Yeah.
Last season at Highbury when we went there and got that draw.
Lasagna Gate is what did him in.
That season, he was unbelievable that season when we should have finished 4th. And if we did finish 4th that year, would have been really interesting to see what trajectory the club would have gone on from there.
A real good point.
I think he would have stayed had we finished in the
the only thing I can add to him, is you saw how good he was, because even in the last couple of years of his career, Man U were probably his best career seasons in his career. He was incredible. Like Teddy, when Teddy kept getting better and better, this guy was incredible. And then we're coming on to a goalkeeper. 23 is a bit weird for a goalkeeper, but we had one, and man, did I love this man. Man, I can't even believe it's just 19 games he played. I loved Carlo. I loved Carlo. Ben, over to you.
He was a brilliant goalkeeper in his career. He's one of the Premier League's great goalkeepers. He was so good at them lot down the road at Chelsea. But when he came to Tottenham, we had Aurelio Gomez in goal at the time, and he was absolutely diabolical that start of that season. And Carlo Cudicini came in after Gomez got sent off in the San Siro before Bale did the business. And he just had he had an aura of class about him. Everything he did it accurately, quickly. He was a steady head on your shoulders. He's the sort of the backup older keeper that you dream of, because he had so much class about him. Brilliant round the training ground. Of course, don't like his idea of out of work activities, which is why he broke both his arms and probably joined it anymore. But what a goalkeeper he was for us in the short amount of time he was. But of course, we replaced him with an even better backup goalkeeper in Brad Friedel, who then became the main goalkeeper because he was just that good. Carlo's got a lot of respect for me. Just a legend of the game of football. And he was brilliant in that Champions League run when Gomez was doing a Gomez. What do you remember of Carlo? Yeah, Mr. Daniel.
I think he was, really good backup keeper to have, model professional. Every time he stepped in really well. But the one game that stands out for me with Carlo Cudicini is not when he was in our goal, though. It was when he was in another goal. 2002, Chelsea, Spurs 5, Chelsea 1, when we absolutely tore them apart in that semi-final. So that's the one that really stands out for me, just seeing him pick up the ball time and time again out of that net.
Maybe he was always a Spurs fan, Ben.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Yeah.
What do you remember about Carlo, Mr. Phil P?
Well, listen, we need to get on a night out with Ben again, because if his idea of a model professional is a bloke who rides a motorbike around the Waterworks roundabout, which is just over the back here, and breaks both his arms, when he should be tucked up in bed. What did he do?
Everyone's prone to a few mishaps, Phil. Everyone's prone.
Yeah, everyone can happen.
Absolutely. He was, but you know what? Maybe this is where Hugo got it from. Everyone, he went drinking because he'd found Carlo's motorbike. It's all going off. If you're behind the Spurs back four, basically, he'll either drive you to high octane sport or drink. So, you know, fair play to him. He only broke both his arms and not his neck. So that was good. But look, I think it speaks volumes to the player he was and the type of person he was. And, you know, joking aside, to your point, Ben, the type of pro that he was, that we took him into our hearts, only having played 19 games and to have, you know, played for so long and been associated for so long with the Blue Muppets, that he did become, you know, a Spurs favourite. So, you know, big up to him. And I'm sure he's enjoying his retirement wherever he is. Hopefully he's staying safe on the motorbike and, you know, no more accidents going over a cattle grid in northeast London.
That cattle grid on Waterworks corner, bloody earth.
Exactly. Well, I don't know what I can say about him. Just that his shot stopping was second to none. It's right up there. It's right up there. I still can't.
He's not the tallest guy either, is he?
He's his agility. His agility. I mean, I remember when he first came to Chelsea. Before Petr Cech came in, I couldn't. But he was doing so well, and they just went for Petr Cech for whatever reason. But Carlo Cudicini, to me, I wish we'd got him before Aurelio Gomez. He was that good. He could have been incredible. Right, we're going to move on.
Similar goalkeeping style to Lloris, isn't he? Similar goalkeeping style to Lloris.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Phil, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can't believe the amount of shade that Gomez, the octopus, has got on this stream. It's like incredible.
I love Gomez. I love Gomez.
I loved him.
Everywhere.
He was more of a comedy character.
Yeah, you never knew whether he was going to pull off an unbelievable save or chuck the ball in the back of his
own net.
Nothing will. Well, just the one quick story about Gomez is I was at a game when Blackpool were in the Premier League, when he conceded a penalty.
Talking about
saved the penalty. It went out for a corner. And then he gave away a penalty, all in the space of 3 minutes. That's what you got with him. But then you look at the Arsenal game, where he saved Van Persie, which is one of the best saves I've ever seen.
AC Milan at home in the Champions League.
But here we go. We're going on to another player now, who's had very good times at Spurs. I've got a fair few things to say about him. Let's talk about Tintin. Let's talk about Mr. Christian Eriksen, Ben Kaufman.
That was before he had the hair transplant, I think. Christian Eriksen was a wonderful footballer for Tottenham. He was an absolute superstar. It did sour towards the end with some of the things that came out. Like he was doing house shopping in Madrid prior to the Champions League final. We don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. It's all alleged. Allegedly, he was shopping for houses. But as a footballer, he was part of that dynamic four we had going forward in Dele, Harry, Sonny, and him, obviously. They were brilliant as a quartet. They were absolutely superb. The movement, the pace, the free kicks, the set pieces, even though I still have a joke that he always beat the first man and he constantly did it. Like as a player, Christian Eriksen was one of those greats in that era for us under Pochettino. He was the glue that brought everything together. And we saw it all fall apart. As soon as he started dropping off, the team fell apart, and that was the end of Pochettino, unfortunately. And went to Inter Milan, won a Scudetto under Antonio Conte, who never really fancied him. But he still, because of the player he was, got himself back into the team and had a stonker of a season winning that trophy. But Eriksen was just a brilliant player, and we all wish him the best because of his heart troubles and stuff like that. But of course, not for Man United though. But as a guy, he was a brilliant player for us, and he many games for us and some great moments. Juventus away from home in the Champions League, that free kick to get that draw. He was just brilliant. Swansea, some brilliant moments. Yeah, got a lot of love for Christian Eriksen. What do you remember about Christian Eriksen, Ben? I know it's only not too far away. So what do you remember?
I loved Christian Eriksen. Absolutely loved him so much. I felt like he was the glue to that attack in the prime Poch era. He really was. I felt like when Eriksen didn't play, or if he was having an off game, the whole team would have an off game. And Kane and Dele and Sonny and all these players all got the plaudits, and so did Eriksen, to be fair. But I felt like Eriksen was always so underrated because he was rated, but nowhere near rated as highly as maybe we should have done at that time. And I felt like once he started downing tools a little bit at the end of his Spurs career, I think we all started to notice how good he actually was in that kind of period. The goal that always stands out for me is that free kick away to Sheffield United in the Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
That was some goal. That was unbelievable. But yeah, look, unbelievable player. He had an engine on him as well. Like, I think he always had those stats that he just never stopped running throughout the game. A lot of energy levels, and it didn't look like it on the pitch, because when you would see it, like at the end of each game, you would say, "Who?" If you would ask me, like, who do you think ran the most out of that team? You would have said probably Carl Walker, Danny Rose, one of these players. You would never have said Christian Eriksen. So he used to go under the radar a little bit, but what a player he was, and I think we were lucky as a fan base to see his best years as well.
Yeah.
Bill,
Mr. Phil P, what do you remember about Chrissy Eriksen?
Yeah, look, I mean, as you said, Ben, like literally, he was just the one that pulled the strings, the one that made it all happen. Absolutely agree. If he was having an off day, we were having an off day. You know, so many assists, and a bit like, I think a bit like that you were saying, Coffee, about about Carrick. He never got stuck in. You know, he always seemed to be, you know, he was that sort of typical 10 that you'd have where, they're not maybe wearing their shin pads. You're a bit worried about them snapping their legs. They're even more worried about it, not going to go anywhere near a tackle. But he just always seemed to be in the right place at the right time and would get himself about the pitch and make it happen. And obviously, very important to how many goals were created in that team, with assists, pre-assists, and all that game. Goals himself, key goals. I mean, one of my favourites is away at the Bridge. I think it was in the wind that we finally got there, wasn't it? Yeah. He scored a rocket in the first half.
Yeah.
And it was, look, his highlight reel is unbelievable. Second, probably only to Sonny himself in terms of the quality of strikes that he had. Again, maybe a little bit controversially, in some big games, like big games, the semis, and the final in Madrid, nowhere to be seen, unfortunately. And I don't know whether his head was turned at that point, but it shouldn't be. You know, you're on the biggest stage of all. You're the one, and really, he wasn't there for us, and it's a shame, and we'll all probably be left with the what ifs until we're not here anymore. But for what he did and how the team were, he was absolutely instrumental in that prime Poch side. And look, we did, as you said, Ben, we got the very best out of him. We saw his best years. And look, I think the bond was soured a little bit towards the end. He should have gone. To be honest, I'm quite pragmatic. As much as I'm an old romantic, I'm quite pragmatic about these things. We should have sold him. The club should have sold him on. It's not his fault that it's the last year of his contract. And look, even if it's subconsciously, you're not going to be at it in the same way. And then we started to drop him, so it wasn't all on him, I don't think, towards the end. But as you said, Mr. Kaufman, it's, everyone in the world, let alone in the football world, and let alone those of us that cheered him on for so long, we're so pleased that he got through what he went through. And not only that he's alive and well, but he's still able to be a pro and still able to enjoy himself. I think that special moment when we went away to Brentford, absolutely fantastic. The way he was appreciated and loved by the fans. But obviously then we got stuck into the game. Shame we didn't win, obviously. Would have helped. But, great player. He'll be welcome back at the Lane anytime he wants to come back. Absolutely iconic song, absolutely iconic 23. Great lads. And look, phenomenal early adopter of a decent hair transplant. So fair play to him. And also, I don't know whether it's true or not, but apparently, like to share the love as well in and amongst the training ground with his young lady. So big up to him.
Right, so I'm gonna, here goes my time to be controversial. I think you're all high on eggnog or something, because I think he's one of the most overrated players we've had in recent history.
Oh,
And I'm going to
What
back
are you
this
talking about?
I'm
What
going
are
to
you
back this
talking
up.
about?
I'm going to back this up. I'm going to back this up. So before people start going, I've got things to say. When he first came and we signed him in that Bow 7, I was like, yes, we've got the jewel in the crown of Europe. And he started off on fire. Don't get me wrong, I love Christian Eriksen for what he did. But what happened during peak Poch as well, I used to call him, and Phil alluded to it, I used to call him Where's Wally? Or Where's Waldo here in North America? Because for 3 months, he would be absolutely unplayable and absolutely fantastic. And for the rest of the season, he'd go missing. He would go completely missing. Yes, he can have all the high run stats. Kulusevski right now has the highest run stats. Let's look at his goals and attributes and assists. They're not that high. When Christian Eriksen was on fire,
Don't disrespect Kulu.
when Christian
Don't
Eriksen was on fire for the 3 months of the season, he was elite. He was absolutely elite. But in the big games, like Phil said, when you needed people to stand up and go, do you know what? I'm going to grab this game by the scruff of my neck. Look, Phil alluded to the Chelsea goal. He's great in that game. But you mentioned the Champions League final. And the last 6 months of his contract, I was disgusted by his behaviour. I know, listen, it's Levy, it's this, it's that. It's where we're at a club. We weren't progressing. I get all that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. I thought he was a wonderful player for 3 months a year. For 3 months a year.
I disagree massively, man. I disagree.
Arguments,
You're talking about up until last weekend, he was the record assists holder for Spurs in the Premier League era.
Yeah, but that's a record that gets broken. Again, that shows how crap we've had look at our teams. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, for 3 months a year, this is a guy that when he first came, his free kicks were exceptional. His set pieces were subliminal.
Yeah.
And then every single person, including you, Ben, and probably Phil, when you're in the ground, were like, can this just please beat the first man? And then, oh, no, it didn't. Here we go again.
His corners were terrible. His corners were terrible.
He went, like I said, his first goal when he came, and that goal in the Europa League, or if it was called it then, from outside the area, he's on fire and on form. He was sensational. But if he wasn't on fire, he was non-existent.
I agree. I agree. If he wasn't playing well, he was non-existent. But he was one of the best players of the Spurs Premier League era. He was the one that made that whole team tick under Pochettino. Like, I think the negative stuff that comes out on Christian Eriksen is recency bias for the poor ending that he had to his Spurs career.
Do I think that plays a part in me, Ben? Yeah, I do. In all honesty, because the way he down tools and everything was, I really, really did not like that. But like I said, there were 3 months in the season, and they didn't run consecutively. They could be odd month here and there. When he was like, right, I'm turning up, no one could touch him. No one. Yeah. The game was over before it even started because he was ready to do what he does. But when he didn't, you could tell it. And he is the one player in that position where he was vital to everything. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, we're going to move on to the last player before our special feature. We're going to be quick with this guy. There's not a lot to say because there's a lot to say about our bonus feature. It's very weird. I look at this on a personal level. Now, this guy here, Ben is right now about to start a huge part of his life and everything is going to be good. But he gave me that moment. Ben couldn't turn up to that game because he had another thing that he had to take care of.
Still gutted to this day.
So he had to go to marriage classes, so he couldn't come to that game. Let's have a very quick chat about Steven Bergwijn. I mean, we're going to talk about 3 things and 3 things only. Ben, you talk about the 3 things first.
Very disappointing player. Very disappointing. For the money we paid for him, it was another one of that era that it was a party boy. As soon as he came to London, he got the fast cars, the big houses, being shown around massive houses on the All or Nothing documentary. It was too much too soon. And he had everything about a good footballer. The celebration, the class, the tattoos. He was just, he should have been an amazing footballer. He had all the talent. He just flattered to deceive, really. That we'll talk about that hat trick because that was really his high point. He scored a few great goals. His debut against Man City, that volley or half volley into the back of the net when he came on. He should have been so much better for us. He should have been so much better. And it's just a real shame. He's gone back to Ajax. Well, not gone back to it. He's gone to Ajax, and he's not been good there either. He's been very average for Ajax in a very poor Ajax team as well. So when he's just not good, too much too soon for Stevie Bergwijn, and it's a real shame because he had all the talent in the world. But great hat trick. I remember that bloody well. But Mr. Daniel, what do you remember about Stevie Bergwijn?
I just remember Brian taking my ticket for the Leicester game and me being gutted.
Your cousin took yours, didn't he?
Who? Daniel? Yeah, maybe.
I think.
Maybe. But I'm just going to blame you for it anyway, to be honest.
Mate, I'll gladly take the blame for it, bro. Gladly.
Stable's fault.
But, yeah, look, I think I was excited when we signed him. Flattered to deceive. Scored, obviously, the Man City goal on his debut, which I was there for. So that was brilliant. And obviously the lane, or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, absolutely erupted that day. I just felt like there was always more to come from Steven Bergwijn, and unfortunately it never came. I felt like Antonio Conte as well never gave him really a fair crack of the whip. Every time he just got 3 minutes here, 4 minutes there, 5 minutes there. And it was at a time where we kind of needed that kind of play, you know, fast, can run in behind. And yeah, he did score that goal just when we came back from lockdown as well. Sorry?
I think he'd be really good in an Ange Postecoglou team if he came in now. I think he'd be decent.
Yeah, and you know that goal against Man United after football took a break because of COVID as well. He scored the first goal back. So I always expected more from him, but unfortunately it never came.
Yeah. Mr. Phil P, what do you remember about Stevie Bergwijn?
I just think I'd agree with you, Ben. I just don't think successive managers gave him a chance. Look, there's a sliding doors moment with Stevie, and we all know what it was. He's through on goal at Anfield, and he hits the post. Yeah. And then he's through on goal again, and I think the keeper saves it, or he shanks it wide. Can't remember. But if those had gone in and we win that game, we go back top in December, happy days, and I think he would have gone on from strength to strength. After that, I think Jose really put him on the back burner. And as you say, Ben, I don't think Conte was ever that interested, unfortunately. And even that Leicester game, you know, the memory that we'll all keep forever, you know, because that was absolute limbs, as the kids would say. But, you know, even after that, we were like, okay, let's keep him now, because there's a lot of rumours that he was going to go that January, but he didn't. And I don't think he played many minutes after that January. So it's, I felt for him because, you know, you bring players in, and obviously we never see behind closed doors what happens in training. But I think he would definitely go into a file under, you know, untapped potential and what could have been, you know. It's a shame, but thanks for the memories.
I'm going to be very quick with this. That goal against Man City was scored the day my niece was born. So I was like already on the, highest of highs. And then Bergwijn did that. I was like, here we go. And yeah, just listen, that Leicester game, I've been to many, many Spurs away days. I've been to many, many Spurs home games where I've seen us score last minute winners. But to be 2-1 down and to win, and I was with Simeon, I was with Grandpa, I was with Graham, I was with Ryan Isaacs. I have never seen limbs like. A few weeks later, me, Ben, and Simeon were at Man City, where we were 2-1 up. It became 2-2, and then went 3-2. Nothing beats that Leicester. Nothing beats that Leicester.
Thanks,
the greatest moment on a away day. I mean, I didn't go to Ajax like Ben and Simeon would have. That and the reactions after it, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. Shame it didn't work out. But yeah, okay. So 23 is a special number for many reasons. For good reasons, for bad reasons. Phil's giving it a bit away, which is all good. I love the build-up. I love the build-up. So 23 resembles another number. It resembles, and I can't believe I'm putting this man on the screen.
Dan the Bagman.
It's 23 years, and as you know, good movies and good CDs have bonus tracks and bonus features. Well, Tottenham on Tour, a great man, I'm not going to say names because we're not going to divulge our sources, came up with a great idea that we should have a little, it can't be Tottenham on Tour, it can't be an advent calendar, it can't be the number 23 without talking about our arch nemesis of this channel.
Do you know what nemesis means, Brian?
Mate, that's it. Listen, I think everyone should go before I go, and I am going to try and keep this down because we have things to do. Ben Kaufman, off to you.
This man's the reason why I've never seen a bloody trophy in my 28 years of bloody supporting Tottenham, except for one League Cup.
Keeping that up.
Yeah, keeping it up the entire show.
Yep.
Daniel Levy is... I can't really explain words. I'm just miserable. I am miserable because this man, as soon as we get to a moment where you think we're that close from greatness, he takes his foot off the gas and it all falls apart. 2 transfer windows under Mauricio Pochettino where we didn't sign any players, which really dented that Champions League side. Imagine if we'd signed a couple of more sprinkles of magic for that Pochettino team, we could have won a Champions League. That team that should have the way he was treated, that he treated Harry Kane, club record goal scorer, vice captain of the football club, guy that kept us on his back for 10 plus years. He doesn't let him even say goodbye to the cooks and the staff that looked after him since he was a child. The utter zero class of the way he's treated some of the greats of this football club. The way he gave just Jan Vertonghen a watch to say, thank you, mate. Thank you, mate. Cheers, mate. There's a watch. The way he treated Martin Jol, being sacked at half time. Absolutely awful. Yeah, I can say a big up to the stadium. The stadium's great. The posters on the walls of the pictures of things, but I'm 28 years old now, and all I've got to show for it is 2 League Cups, one of which I don't remember because I was 4. I would love to see a trophy, and I just do not see Tottenham winning a trophy whilst this man is at the helm of the football club. Levy out, purple and gold, whatever you want to say it. It just makes me dejected because I didn't choose to be a Tottenham fan. It's born to you. You're given it. And he's just made it miserable. Yeah, we've had some brilliant moments, but I want to see something. I want to be able to tell my nephew Elijah or little Ozzy if he starts watching football. I want to say I was there when we won an FA Cup, when we did really well. And so, oh no, it's the little memories, but we never have anything. It's memories that will be forgotten. And it's just very upsetting. What's your thoughts on the Bagman, Mr. Daniel?
I think when he first took over the club, I really did like that move about sacking George Graham and bringing in Glenn Hoddle, out with the Gooners, in with the Ids. But I felt like that also was a bad decision because it came a game too soon, in my opinion, because Glenn Hoddle's first game was Arsenal in the semi-final of the Cup. And I felt like if anyone was going to beat Arsenal in the semi-final, it was probably going to be George Graham with the way he used to set us up at the time. So I felt that game came a game too early, to be honest. Look, everyone knows our thoughts about Daniel Levy, right? But you got to say that where he's taken the club over to where it is now, completely different club, and he's taken it on in a really good way. But having said that, every time we get to a certain stage, every time we get to a certain level, he is the man, and it's his decisions that always hold us back. Every single time, whether it be under Martin Jol, what Martin Jol gave this football club and how he was treated was absolutely disgraceful and disgusting. Martin Jol was one of my favourite managers at Spurs, and the way, how can you sack a manager that meant so much to the fans? Forget meaning so much to the fans, actually. How can you just sack a manager at half time? But especially someone that meant so much to the fans. And I remember being at that game, that Getafe game. You could see the tear in Martin Yole's eye. The whole stadium was standing up and singing for him. No one cared about the game anymore. Everyone was just focused on Martin Yole. And that was disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. But where he really held us back, under Harry Redknapp, that January transfer window, when you're thinking, look, we just need a few players sprinkled in here and we can really kick on. He wanted, what was it, Gary Cahill and Tevez, and he got bloody Louis Saha and Ryan Nelson. Like, how are you supposed to kick on with these kind of players? And
remember, we don't sign injury-prone players.
Pardon?
I said, remember, we don't sign injury-prone players. Louis Saha and Glass Knees Nelson.
Yeah. Disgraceful.
Stuff like that. Remember, instead of signing Bruno Fernandes, we signed Gedson Fernandes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got to get out of jail free.
There are so many of them, but held us back under Harry Redknapp, where we could have done amazing things that year. Held us back under Pochettino when we were onto such a good thing. To the work that he did, Daniel Levy, he brought in Pochettino, he brought in the young players that made that team. But we just needed to go that extra mile, and he never goes the extra mile. That's the problem with Daniel Levy. He can get us to a certain place, but it's when he's asked to go that extra mile, he always falls flat on his face every single time. And look, we've got Ange now. We've got a good young team. I just really hope he can push us that extra mile this time, because every single other time we've got to this level or even to a level above, he always flatters to deceive and has always held us back.
Phil?
I'll try and keep it brief, guys. I think, and this is something that I think gets a little bit lost with a lot of people when the Levy out, arguments start, and I've heard you say it before, Brian, but stop me if you don't agree with this. But I think anyone who has protested, anyone who sort of challenges Levy and Enoch, this is why I called him Daniel the Bagman, because, for me, I think Smoking Joe, Uncle Joe, Sleepy Joe gets away with blue murder, because in the end, it's his money. Enoch is his. Okay, Danny's got a few cheeky shares on the side now that are probably going to make him a billionaire when the time comes. But in the end, he's just doing what the boy in the Bahamas says. So, but hopefully he'll get decent visitation rights when, conjugal visits when he's in Sing Sing. But look, going back to the point of what I started to say before I rudely interrupted myself, no one would like more than, the four of us, anyone who's ever got, been interested in any way in Levy out, than to go to the edge of town, bury our guns next to the graveyard, and enjoy and sing Danny's praises and say, well done, mate. Finally, you did it. If Ange, Jesus Christ, I pray, baby Jesus, make this come true. In the next 3 years, if Ange gets what he needs and we actually win some major trophies, he's going to have to take a lot of the credit for that. But as you said, Ben, it's almost, if you look at how many good football directors have been through the club, how many good managers have been through the club, how many good scouts have been through the club, but then just have left us and gone to Liverpool or gone to Brighton or gone somewhere else and done phenomenal work. And yet we are where we are. Look, where we are now as a club from where we were, there has definitely been progress. Whether it's 23 years worth of progress, I would question, because we've always had a massive fan base. We've always had a loyal fan base, and we are the richest fan base in the country. If you take the local fan base and not, the Saudi owners or sports washing into account. So look, I really thought the Poch era was the culmination of what he and Smoking Joe were trying to do. They, that it was the young British talent that had been bought. They were coming to fruition. Little bit of young international talent as well, and a really progressive young manager who was hungry and was developing these players. But it all fell apart. We never built around that great 11. We never got players to challenge that 11. And in the end, that Champions League run summed it all up. The league form had already fallen apart. We hadn't won a league away game in so long, but yet we managed to stumble heroically into the Champions League final, only to not show up on the night. That is the ENIC era. So, Danny, unfortunately, you're going to have to wear a lot of this, mate, and that's why we'll leave you out. But unfortunately, Joe Lewis doesn't officially own the club anymore, so it's all on you now, my friend. So no pressure, but 1st of January, we need a lot of players in, please.
Can I just say one more thing? One more thing on Daniel Levy. Like, I'll never, ever, ever forgive Daniel Levy for when you look at Harry Kane and everything Harry Kane went through at this football club, for him having to take that decision to leave, and not only just leave, but go to German football. Like, do you think Harry Kane grew up being like, oh, I want to be a star in the Bundesliga? You know what I mean? Like, that is all on Daniel Levy for the lack of ambition at this football club, right? These last 5 years have been an absolute joke and a travesty for this football club. We were on to such a good thing, and it was his decisions time and time again why it has held us back. And that is what swayed Harry Kane away from this football club, because of the lack of ambition. Who the hell has Pochettino and in a really good attacking team then ends up with Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Nuno Espirito Santo, which ultimately ends up with Harry Kane leaving the football club? And that blood is all on Daniel Levy's hands. And that's all I've got to say. And
that's the end of the show. So, no, sorry, I knew I was forgetting something. Okay. Right, I'm going to try and do this. Right.
Keep it brief, mate. We're only 2 days to Christmas.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep it brief. Listen, when he bought the club, everyone wanted sugar out, and they got what they wanted. In modern day football, most people, when they take over a football club, they go and buy a statement player and saying, "This is what we're going to do for the club. Here you go. Have this." What he did is, as Ben alluded to, I have another terminology for it. Basically, he thought he'd be the hero by sacking the devil and hiring God. That's what he thought he'd do. And obviously, as Ben rightly said, he did it before a semi-final, and that should have been the first warning sign, actually, because who would have known that he'd do it later on with Jose, the exact same thing, but this time it was a final, not a semi-final. I have openly said and will openly credit Daniel Levy for the development of Tottenham Hotspur. It is not the football club that it was when it took over. Commercially, business-wise, I don't think I would be having access and have so many Toronto Spurs fans out here, and Spurs being the size it is over North America, around the world, without his business now. And he has pulled some master strokes. But there's a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But to Daniel Levy, it's if it ain't broke, throw it into a million pieces, try to arrange it itself, and then when it hasn't worked, let's smash it up again and rebuild. I've never known someone to do this. Yes, the stadium's wonderful. Yes, the training ground is world class, and I've seen it both on the inside and outside. Outside more. Lovely gardens out there. He's the only man with the Super League. He's the only chairman that hasn't apologised still. And he's the only English chairman out of the English teams to do it. Ben said it perfectly. You look at the managers. Pochettino was onto something. Let's go 18 months without signing a player. Then you want to buy win now managers, but not give them a checkbook. Every time we're on the cusp of something, he pushes self-destruct. Every single time. And the thing I don't get is how this fan base just constantly, like, obviously we're growing, it's getting bigger, it's getting stronger, but time after time we go through this. Don't get me wrong, he's pulled some master. Christian Eriksen we spoke about, great deal. You look at Rafa van der Vaart, the way he got that. Moussa Dembele, the way he's pulled some transfers off are brilliant. But like you said, the amount of managers, you just got to look at the players as well that have left to win stuff. We've been on the cusp of greatness, and every single time we go 10, 11, 12 steps back. And here we are about to go into January with the manager we need, playing the football we want, and we're going to see what happens in January, aren't we? But listen, he has done some great things. I will not deny it. And I've said it on We Are Tottenham TV. I've said it on Tottenham on Tour. There's nothing more I want to come onto these channels and go, do you know what? Well done, Daniel. Well done. And I will go on We Are Tottenham TV immediately if we have a great winner and say, and Ben and Simeon have heard me credit him. Don't get me wrong. They're very, very, very far and few between.
Yeah.
but it's time to go, Daniel. Piss off, eat, drink, and be merry. Once you go, you can build your hotels. You can build your skyscrapers. I'll support it. Just do it. Not on Tottenham's dime. People, I mean, I commented. I've seen recently people saying we're doing this because we're Daniel Levy's playing the long-term game. We're 23 years into the long-term game. How many
I was five when he bought the club.
How many more years? The excuse is, he's doing it for the long-term sustainability. We're 23 years into a 5-year project, and we've had about 4 of them. Daniel, spark up. Sort yourself out. Spark up. Do not spark up.
He should spark up as well. Why not?
Why not? It may help him. Go to Amsterdam, spark up, go see Danny Kyriakou. He'll tell you a thing or two. And then just do right for the club. Don't do what's right for the business. Do what's right for the manager. Do what's right for the club. And people like myself will start easing off. But until you do, you're public enemy number 1, mate. And as always, Levy out.
You know what it is, Brian, as well? What really pisses me off about Levy is the way he micromanages every facet of this football club. Like, you're an accountant, you're a money man. Stick to what you're good at, because you've done really good things in that sense in terms of for the football club. But like, just look at the Amazon documentary, for example, when Danny Rose is trying to complain about being in the first team, and then he walks out being like, "Oh, I'm going to go speak to Daniel." Like, that should never happen. That should never happen. Like, and him sitting in with the first team and eating lunch and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Daniel, Ben, the worst part of that is, you remember when they'd sacked Poch and all the lawyers were doing Jose's contract.
Yeah.
Next to, of course, at the cafe, because that's what business people do.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous though. Like, the whoever picks the team, whoever has final say on the transfer, should all be to the recruitment and the managerial staff. Daniel Levy should just be signing it off in terms of what they say, basically following their orders. They shouldn't be following Daniel's orders of who they should bring in the club, who should be playing on the football pitch. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There we go. And that wraps up 23.
Yeah.
I hope everyone liked the bonus feature. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a great idea from the person who remains anonymous that thought of such a thing.
Not very Christmassy.
It's very Christmassy. It's very Christmassy. It's my, if the Queen or the King does a royal message to the nation, we've just done one to address
to the Tottenham nation.
Merry Christmas, dickhead. So Phil, where can people find you, brother?
Just Google Ric Flair, watch any of his golden matches, and that'll be good enough for me. Just at Spurs in the Park Lane, block 258, just beneath the big screen, probably shouting, and just enjoy myself with my kids, the next generation of Spurs, soon to be followed hopefully by Ben's next generation of Spurs fans, and my dad. So just enjoying time. So when this is released, hopefully, boys, I'll see you in the pub in a few hours' time.
Yeah, definitely not me, unless you're coming to the Scotland Yard.
No, not that pub, mate. Sorry.
Or me, to be fair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. You might be you might be ready to catch something, Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
Little baby. But good luck with that, mate. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Mothership, where can
Spurs
Mothership
baby grows at the ready, people. Spurs baby grows at the ready. Get them in your shopping
I've already been told by Brian that I can't be going to the Spurs shop and buying any baby grows. So I don't know what I'm going to put
other stores do stock it. Other stores do stock
it. We are Tottenham TV. Absolute pleasure to come on once again. 4th and final time on the Advent calendar. So thank you so much, guys, for having me on. We are Tottenham on tour once again.
Yeah, right, thank you. Honestly, I keep saying it. People know my affection, or this channel's affection, to We Are Tottenham TV. And Ben and Simeon have given up a lot of time to help us with this. Love you dearly, Ben and Ashley, and all of We Are Tottenham TV. And thank you for everything you do for the entire Tottenham Hotspur community, or Tottenham fans, the number one channel. And everyone should love and subscribe. Just click the subscribe. That's it. Subscribe button.
Press the button.
Press the buttons for We Are Tottenham TV. Ben, what you got coming up?
Those buttons.
Well.
Always. Trigger fingers.
But from all of us over at Tottenham on Tour, we wish you a wonderful rest of your Christmas period. It's only 2 days to go until Christmas, and enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy yourself. Irish Bailey's in, all that stuff. Delicious food. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and come on, you Spurs.
And I've done it, so we've got to do it. You said Irish Bailey's in, so I'll say, and as always, Levy out.